Hail Internet, it's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. Today, we're talking about the new James Gunn film, Superman, the first film in the new DCU. You have now seen it twice, Paul, yeah?
That's true, I have.
I think it's worth mentioning the film's opening text because it sets up the framework for the DCU going forward.
Yes.
Superman's taking place in modern day, and we're told that metahumans first revealed themselves 300 years ago. So humans and metahumans have been coexisting for several generations, and you can see that in effect in this film. Superman's been a public figure for 3 years. He unilaterally stopped a war 3 weeks earlier, and as we open the film, he's just suffered his first defeat 3 minutes ago. So this is not an origin story for Superman or for the prevalence of superheroes and supervillains on Earth.
Yeah, that's right.
So that is your DCU. I think it's important. Just briefly, Lex Luthor needs the war that Superman stopped to continue so that he can acquire half the country of Jaranpur. He breaks into the Fortress of Solitude, discovers that while Superman thought his parents sent him to Earth to aid it, they actually sent him to Earth so he could conquer and rule it. The world thus turns against Superman. He allows himself to be imprisoned in Lex's pocket dimension. Lois and the Justice Gang hero Mr. Terrific break him out of confinement. He defeats the clone of himself created by Lex, saves Metropolis from being swallowed by a black hole. The Justice Gang stops the war again. And Lex goes to Belle Reve prison for his crimes. Obviously, much more happens as well, but that's it in a nutshell.
Yes.
All that said, Paul,
Matt.
what'd you think of Superman?
So, I liked it. I can't even say I liked it better than Man of Steel. You know, I did think it could have been better. But of course, it was trying to do so much. And in a way, and I don't blame him for trying to do, James Gunn, for trying to do that much with it. If there was more of Superman and Lois Lane, that's where I feel it could have, it probably needed the most. And while I did like Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor, it's nicer to have a more nuanced, like from Smallville, for instance, that, I think it's Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor was, he was a little more complex a character.
Okay, fair enough.
But, it was fine having that. And actually, I certainly liked Sarah Sampaio's Teschmacher more than I liked the Teschmacher from, the original Christopher Reeve Superman. And of course, Ned Beatty in that, it's just like, come on. So, he didn't have any bumblers, because Lex is just not going to, you can understand why he might keep Teschmacher around, but, there was no Otis. So
it was bumbler free. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Now you said that the second time you went with a good friend of yours who's like a big DC Comics person.
I did.
Without saying too much, go into detail. What was that DC comic friend of yours feeling?
Yeah. Well, he enjoyed it. He enjoyed it a lot. Especially since there were a number of. James Gunn is very good in, including references that are fairly old, the Metamorpho or whatever the character was. Metamorpho. My friend, he remembered having a comic book from way back of that. And, he appreciated the, and of course, the robots are an old staple. Obviously, they've done many different ways, and of course, the way they were holding him down and subjecting him to light is from a comic. And so there are all these different touches and everything, which for old DC fans.
I like that the robots were wearing capes. Just kind of a funny little... Okay, sure.
Yeah, certainly it's better than the, one of the ways in which the comics are basically just Superman robots that are existing in his Fortress of Solitude. So, That's an improvement. Having them just be robots is sort of like, wow, you think a lot of yourself, don't you, Superman?
Also, if you need a wisecracking droid, you get Alan Tudyk. There you go.
Do. And ironically, Grace Chan.
Right.
Who was in Humans.
I think I saw that Michael Rooker even did a voice.
Oh, yeah, he did.
So James Gunn bringing over some of the Marvel folks.
Yeah. And Palm Clementif.
Right. Great point,
so
Mantis.
There you go.
So the movie's incredibly popular in terms of the critic rating. 83% critic rating, 93% viewer rating, Rotten Tomatoes. Got an A- Cinnamon score. And admittedly, that surprises me a bit. I generally liked the film, but I really wouldn't put it like in top tier superhero film, which is what these ratings kind of suggest. Like this is top shelf superhero. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put it in that category personally.
Sometimes with blockbusters, I think if you catch the right mood, people just have fun.
Yes, there is a sense of fun about it, which is pretty much a recurring theme for James Gunn films. And it's to James Gunn's immense credit that I can say I enjoyed this movie, even though I think it's probably the least effective superhero venture in his body of work, in my opinion. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 3, I think, are much better. Gunn's Suicide Squad film, I think, is much better. Season 1 of Peacemaker, very good. Guardians 2 is like the only film that might be a step down.
You're forcing me to reenact or to resurrect what we were talking about in terms of how James Gunn feels is his first superhero movie.
Oh, in other words, the others were not. Yes,
right.
Okay. Right, right. James Gunn mentioned that he didn't see them as superheroes. They were just essentially people in space.
Yeah. And also you can say, too, that, I don't know, I think they've definitely created a unique world. One of the things I think you could say about the Superman comic is that when it first came out, it did not create a world where it didn't say, like, oh, well, superheroes have been around forever, and, and certainly in the first comics, he was the first. So it wasn't like there were a bunch of other superheroes running around. You could say that one of the themes that wasn't overt, but you can kind of say, especially with the Marvel movies, is the extent to which scientific advancements and industrialization is a part of the whole superhero aspect, actually.
Science-based.
Right.
Yeah.
Although, especially with Shazam, even though that wasn't a part of DC until later,
you start throwing in the magic.
Yeah, you start throwing in the magic. You certainly have Zatanna and all these other DC characters and all that. And so, for 300 years, I'm sure there was a lot more magic earlier in
you're talking
DC
early
history.
1700s.
Right,
exactly. They were, and maybe they were around before then, but just hadn't revealed themselves.
Sure.
But just to say that, several generations of folks have been like, okay, there's superheroes around.
And one thing about that world, then, is like you would not know that it had such a great impact on culture, having superheroes around for 300 plus years. I mean, it's like, how did that change the world? That's a whole different world than we. It's not.
It felt, you're right. It doesn't seem to have changed anything, but it does make people just have the giant kaijus walking through the city, and the people that are in the immediate vicinity are like, oh my god. But then you just have people, you just see them like at their office.
Yeah, and the way they talk about metahumans, actually, it doesn't feel like that's something they have to wrestle with for that long.
I agree, especially because it does feel like a major plot point in terms of for the DCU going forward.
Right.
Is that the Justice Gang, as they're calling themselves now, decide, oh, you know what, we are going to go intervene. And because they had already said, like, well, we're not doing that. That's a political suicide. We're not doing it. And so for them to step in, and then we get some kind of a line where it's like, well, now there's more metahumans doing their thing. Yeah. And so I feel like there's that potentially that sense of, oh, who's in control now of the world kind of thing. But just to finish my point on the thought that despite the fact that I think there are several James Gunn, and I think they're superhero movies that are, you know, that are better in my opinion, I still enjoyed this film, which means the guy's got a track record and can deliver solid superhero films. So, you know,
Okay.
do I wish this one maybe, you know, the top of the line? Yes, but I did enjoy it. I like you said you thought maybe it could be better. I guess I'm in that same boat. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, I would probably have, I mean, because if I wanted to boil it down to what I think was the most important aspects of the movie in terms of Superman and Lois Lane is their relationship. And while, you know, the scene was great where she was interviewing him.
Oh, sure.
And it's funny, though, that, you know, in terms of the points of contention, he was right in that most of what she was using to sort of make him aware of was all bullshit. It was all stuff that Lex Luthor had created, you know. It's like, I shouldn't say all bullshit. He certainly didn't consult any other, you know, political forces. So that's a good point, and that was never addressed throughout the course of the movie.
And there was one little line in there that actually I did take some issue with, and I guess it comes down to like what I see as like the character of Superman. I've always thought of, you know, you have Superman and Batman as these heroes who both want to do good, but they have these different philosophies on how to achieve the greater good. And in D&D terms, I always thought of it, you know, I always put Superman in the lawful good category. He'd be a paladin if he was a D&D character.
Okay.
You know, LG all the way. Which is why in that scene where he described, and he admits, yes, I kidnapped the leader of Baravia. I flew him into the desert by himself.
Yes.
I hurt him with cactus needles.
Yes.
And then I threatened him to say, I'll do worse if you don't basically do what I want, and then flew him back. That's torture. I mean, it's not the ultimate torture, but it's pretty bad. And in my mind, I don't think a lawful good character does that. So that was a little bit where I was like, I don't know if that's a Superman thing.
I feel like, okay. I mean, for me, I'm I understand that's how you think of it. Now it's hard for me not to criticize the description of Superman as lawful good.
Okay, no, great. You can that's on me. I get that. That's my interpretation.
I know. So now it's like, damn. Now that's stuck in my head.
Okay, fair enough.
I feel like he's
totally neutral good. That's fine. Okay. Can't be a paladin.
I feel like throughout the history of Superman, especially in the early Superman, he's willing.
Yeah, I'm sure there's examples, right? Yeah.
Do things where it's sort of like, you know, hey, I'm sort of taking the law into my own hands here, or, you know, doing something to threaten somebody, or at least make them think about something. I'm scaring you with my power. I think that's a Superman thing that's from early on. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess I wouldn't want to sit on a cactus, but it just
well, it's also just that threat. Like if you put yourself, I hear the cactus is not terrible, but flying this person out into the desert where they are like you are now vulnerable to a being could easily kill you at any second.
Right.
I mean, there's a psychological torture.
I feel like we saw the same part of that part of Superman when he couldn't find his dog and he went to confront Lex.
He gets very volatile, throwing the desk.
Yeah.
You know, maybe James Gunn is giving this character a place to go. Hey, this is our younger, only 3 years in Superman, and as he matures, he'll, you know, become more lawful good. He's gonna become a paladin.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Fair enough.
mean, you know, I mean, I think he might make it so that if he does things like that, there'll be consequences. And of course, in this situation, there was a consequence in that the video showed him being a crazy person. It's just the point when that didn't help him at all.
Correct.
So I think that is an aspect of the character that may not change that much. if you're thinking that that's how the character could be, you know,
Just
I
throwing
think
it out
the
there.
ways that I think that you're right that other than how it's portrayed in Dungeons and Dragons, the movie.
Oh, right, that paladin. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, he's so good that he can't do things that aren't, you know, he's got
Correct.
to walk in a straight line and he's got to
Yes.
do all sorts of things or whatever. Yeah. And the joke is people are having emotional reactions around him to how he is. And so I think, you know, even if you decided to make that character a main character, you'd have to have people around him who are constantly having, you know, he'd need his own Otis if that was the case.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, because you have such a huge code. Your code is so wrapped around you that it affects almost everything you do. You know, this code of ethics. But
yeah. So just like I think you were talking about how in the first Superman Christopher Reeves movie, how they got around having this character who was all powerful by having him do something that was pretty difficult.
You're like, oh, you got to be in two places at once. You got to go solve this one problem, right, but also the problem you really want to solve is on the other side of the country. You know, and so you test the limits of the character in a way that's kind of creative,
right?
As opposed to
so,
just like, oh,
you
he
know,
can obviously do that.
Having a character who is passionate about something, so where his emotions can get the better of him, I think is a way to, you know, not have him be perfect, which just makes, you know, that's, you know,
I got you.
I
hear what you're saying.
You can talk about actually how the first thing he shows you is him losing a battle.
Right.
Now, it was to himself, basically, a clone of himself, and we didn't know, that was the case. But
another entity defeated him, yeah.
Right, yeah. But, if he had, there were a number of times when, he didn't seem to be, he had some capacity to avoid a black hole, but, he was definitely thinking that there would be a point of no return for him, and then he wouldn't be able to and
unlike his clone who went through it. And
Right. And the way they explicitly made how he interacts with the power of the sun, and how he, that part can be depleted, and so if he's deprived of the sun.
Great point. They did bring out, weaknesses. They brought the fact he has to breathe, and you can cut off his air supply. One
of the things about Superman occasionally is they said that he can destroy planets, and so this Superman doesn't seem like he's as powerful as that. So,
and I do like. I like the fact that we did skip the origin story. I've seen some people that have been complaining about that online.
Wow.
Yeah, there are some people like blah, 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 but like, no, it kind of reminds me in some ways of there's a sketch writing mantra at Second City, which is like if you have two characters in a scene, just assume they've met before. We don't waste time on introductions. Now that's for a 4-minute scene. Obviously, you got to get to the point. But still, I like putting us in the action. Hey, he just got defeated for the first time. What's that like?
Right.
Oh my goodness! Oh wow! That's great. I was all for that.
Although it's funny where it's like I think it suggests that it's the first time he got beat, and so he goes right back into battle, which is fine, and he still doesn't win.
Right.
But emotionally, didn't seem to bother him at all.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I mean, maybe that was part of the character again. Was just like he was just, I'm going back.
How am I going to beat this guy? He's just like, I'm just going to keep trying.
Just like a paladin. I really enjoyed, and we could talk more about that, but Mr. Terrific.
Mr. Terrific was
excellent
great.
Character. Yeah. Same actor who played Darwin in the X-Men First Class. His character arc was really, really fun, and I thought there's a lot of material there for him in future DCU projects.
Sure.
I'm a Nathan Fillion fan ever since Firefly, so I liked his take on Guy Gardner. I really enjoyed the scene, even though it was maybe a bit too distracting, but the scene where Clark and Lois are talking in the foreground and the Justice gang is struggling with this giant critter in the background. And
yes.
you see Guy Gardner is just creating a giant green stick. And he's bashing the creature with it. And it's just of all the things you can create, literally anything that your imagination can conjure, it's a lantern. It's like, just make a big stick.
I definitely think they're making a point about that.
That was funny. Yeah, exactly.
Because later on, he's just flipping the bird at people.
Yeah, flips the bird and then it knocks the tanks over.
Yeah. So, I think they're making a point about Guy Gardner.
He's not the most imaginative, clever strategist when it comes to his powers. He's like, what does this do? I don't know. Oh, I can make a big stick? That's fine.
I think that was, they said an imp, but it's just Mxyzptlk or whatever.
Mxyzptlk. Yeah. Of course, we had the Krypto and his relationship with Superman.
And Supergirl.
And Supergirl at the very end there, yes.
Yeah, apparently,
we got maybe the reason that Krypto is out of control is because it seems like it's Supergirl's dog. As Superman said earlier in the movie, he said, "Well, I'm just foster care or something like that." Like in other words, he's not in charge of Krypto,
right?
And so Supergirl has not trained Krypto. And I'll say this: as enjoyable as Krypto is a threat. Not because he's evil or mean or anything like that. It's a force of nature, not realizing its own strength.
Yeah.
Let's get some training in there. Come on, go to PetSmart, do a little sit stay. But anyway, Krypto is great, and I know you're not necessarily a dog person there, but did you enjoy the Krypto Superman relationship?
I mean, it was fine. I didn't hate it. But I didn't love it either.
Okay, fair enough.
I like that he's actually Supergirl's pet, though.
Yeah. Because they almost felt like a little irresponsible of Superman if it was literally Superman's dog, and he's like, whatever. And this dog is literally just charging at people and knocking them over. I'm like, you're going to kill a kid someday. Anyway, so I was glad in some ways that they put that onus on Supergirl, who seems to be, at this moment in her arc, is like, I'm party girl. Krypto can do what he wants. Fine.
Yeah, I think, it feels like that's going to be, from what I've been hearing from people who are more familiar with the comics, is that since she was older at the time that they left Krypton, and it's, the traditional sort of, she hit some time thing, or she got just, so by the time she gets to Earth, Superman's older than Supergirl. So she should be aware of this inclination of her planet and her...
I see.
And her aunt and uncle.
It's not a shock to her.
Right, exactly. I mean, perhaps when she gets there, she thinks they should be trying to,
enact what Jor-El said. Okay. The entire message.
Right. At least keeping it from him, because you'd think, it shouldn't be that point. By that point, that he's like, wait a minute. And she's known Kara all that time, or for however long it was, because we don't know. It's news to him.
Yeah, definitely news to him. And we get to, obviously, the nature versus nurture theme there, where the images of your parents comfort you, and at the end, it's the parents are the Kents.
Yes.
I guess growing up in Georgia and then actually living in Kansas for 15 years, I didn't necessarily care for the country bumpkin trope. It was played a little bit for laughs. Like, the conversation with the dad was a good moment.
Yeah.
But it seemed like a caricature. It seemed like the Kents were a little bit of a caricature that was like, I don't know that you need to play that for laughs, but that's fine.
Interesting. I think that, I don't know, maybe you're a little sensitive there.
Yeah, might be.
Because
I acknowledge
while
that.
I do think it feels like there are more characteristics of actual people from the South than, say, the parents in, certainly in Smallville. Oh my God. It's like, you had, Bo Duke, and yet was less country than he's ever been.
And by the way, Kansas is not the South by any means, but yes, exactly. So that's
true. Farm country. Let's say.
Exactly.
But yes, not nearly as the Duke.
Great point. You're right. They could have been more Foghorn Leghorn for sure.
What I'm saying though is that in a way, I think they were trying to play on the whole. This is Clark's image of a man that he was raised up with, somebody who's not afraid to cry, and so it's not the traditional masculine role model that he was raised with. I think that was the primary point they were making.
And he gets this value of trusting people. Lois says, "You trust everyone. You think everyone you've ever met is beautiful." And then he says the whole thing like trusting people is punk rock, which I think is his mantra in a way, perhaps. And so obviously that's something that
because it's interesting that they need to show me this punk rock Lois Lane because I didn't see her. Just because she drinks her coffee with a ton of sugar, that doesn't seem especially punk rock to me.
Agreed.
It's like, what is punk rock about her? I mean, skeptical. Okay, I'll give you that, but
she wears a black sweater.
Yeah. I feel like he found a song to end with, and so he was making it.
Yeah. The Boravia attacking Jaranpur with U.S. backing definitely felt like an analog to real-world events.
Sure.
Superman says the Lois people were dying, and had to act. So it's always nice when your fantasy can apply to actual real life.
Oh, sure.
Mr. Terrific's T-Spheres fight looked cool, but it did feel similar to Yondu's Arrow fight scene from Guardians 2.
Sure.
Did James kind of steal from himself there? But both scenes look cool, so okay.
Yeah.
I thought Ladies' Man Jimmy Olsen was a fun take on the character. To hinge such a critical plot point on the fact that Lex Luthor's girlfriend is secretly pathologically obsessed with Jimmy Olsen felt a little lazy. Like, it's very convenient at the very least, but like, okay, all right, fine. You had to, okay, you got the evidence somehow. I wasn't thrilled with that.
Certainly, I don't know. I feel like the fact that you have that character be Textmacher, which is a character that exists in the original work, and also I was fine with it because certainly it's an old trope, the sort of here's the evidence I was sending you in plain sight.
Right. That's fine. It was just the fact that Jimmy happens to be the person that she's obsessed with and is willing to drop everything for. And he also happens to be sitting in the car next to Lois. Like that's the person. It just felt very convenient. That's all.
Sure. Well, it's a comic book.
Yeah, exactly. But it's one of those okay, and you can accept it's a comic book. There's a certain threshold. There's a number of times, and I don't think it reached that threshold. But there's a number of times you're like, okay, it's a comic book. Okay, it's a comic book. At some point, you're like, it's a comic book. But yeah, I would say the other, it's a comic book thing that was just don't look too hard at this. That did bother me was Lex's bafflingly complex and I think completely inefficient method of controlling Ultraman in the combat. It just felt so out of place. He's this brilliant antagonist. He's got I made a portal to a pocket dimension.
Yes.
I only saw it once, so you saw it twice.
I did.
He uses drones to watch the fight in real time.
Yes.
And then while visually seeing the fight happen, he then calls out a letter and a number.
Yes.
Like a combo sequence.
Yep.
To a collection of computer programmers who then input those numbers, which sends a command back to Ultraman's brain for Ultraman to, let's say, take a punch or do whatever. I just feel like imagine if you tried that method with a clone of Muhammad Ali in a boxing ring fighting Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
I think your clone would be hit 5 times before it successfully responded to the first punch. You're watching it. You have to say the letters to someone else who's inputting in a computer, which then sends it back. I mean, in a fight scenario, it's one thing if you have all day to do that. If you're trying to react in real time, I just don't see it. I mean, why did Lex need the middleman? I'll just say it that way. Why a room full of techies? He could have watched and then said 1A.
Yeah,
and then
have. Well,
like, it just felt weird to
like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It felt like it's a comic book. That's what it felt like.
Well, no, I would push back on basically, it's like I can speak faster than I type. You know, maybe you could have someone who could type faster than they speak, but especially when you have a bunch of people doing it, it's all you need to do is set up an interface where it's like whoever gets says it, okay, here's what he said, and then someone's typing it in fast. Whatever person gets it in first, you have a whole bunch of people doing it. And basically, they're used to typing that shit in. So they can type it in pretty fast. It's like the whole purpose of a game is to have some sort of input method. And whether it's a thumb thing with your hands or if it's, people typing things in, it's like that's the whole game mechanic.
It's a game mechanic, but I just felt like it feels innately too slow to work. I'll just say that in a fight where Superman is beating up the avatar that you've got, I don't think you've got the time to do like let's have a group and I'll say the words and you would type it in. I think you'd be always at least 1 or 2 steps behind Superman at all times. Anyway, I get it. Whatever. It's a comic book. It's fine. It worked. It showed the brains over brawn. My brains. But I just thought you could have shown it in a way that seemed more plausible. As I say, just remove the room of techies. He's watching with drones, and he's saying words that then Ultraman responds to. Okay, that's at least faster. It feels like he's working in real time. That's all. It's a nitpick, so I'll just say it that way. One thing we do get, so Ultraman gets sucked into this black hole. That's not dead.
No, it's not dead. No.
That's. I mean, a Bizarro Superman could be a thing as a result of that, perhaps, or
I don't know.
I've
heard different people talking about it who are more familiar with the comics than me.
Okay.
Certainly, I think you could look at it and say this is Bizarro. Apparently, there was some expression of a character called Ultraman who was cloned, and the original Bizarro was not cloned. Luthor had a ray gun that could make copies of things.
Okay.
So, the implication of a clone is that you're using DNA, and at that time, they weren't talking about DNA. It's just a ray gun that takes something and makes a copy of it.
Great point.
And especially since it didn't create an exact copy. It created an opposite copy.
Yeah.
So, that's, it's not like, oh, sure, the DNA, we make changes that is opposite. No, it was a whole conceptual thing where he's like me, so it became a joke where he was saying, this sour food, it tastes good or whatever.
Right, right. Opposite world.
Yeah.
Bizarro world.
Oh, this square world and all this, like, oh, look at this child that we have that looks like a Gerber baby. Oh, it's ugly. So it's debatable how much this is Bizarro, even though yes, he was he wasn't very smart, but it could be Bizarro, but I'm not sure to the extent to which Ultraman is the same as
someone
Bizarro.
With Superman's strength exists somewhere else
yes.
in a other dimension, perhaps.
Yes.
We also had the Justice Gang. They were hanging out in the Hall of Justice, which I liked. That brings back my the Super Friends cartoon days. So I like that they were just lounging about. And they brought in Metamorpho at the end. Which was great. I liked, again, the Nathan Fillion, Guy Gardner, like, not going to bring him in until he's like, I really like the name. Okay, you're in. So you've got little building blocks for setting stuff up. Lex Luthor's going to Belle Reve. Well, Belle Reve, that's where our Suicide Squad was being held. And so you've probably got a situation where he's going to be with a bunch of other criminals. and maybe Amanda Waller as well. So anyway, we also had a Peacemaker cameo, and of course, Peacemaker season 2 is going to be coming out very soon, I believe. So all that stuff is in play now. The DCU is progressing.
Yes.
So it sounds like we both agreed it could have been better. I'm guessing just from our talk that you probably liked the film a little more than I did.
Yeah.
But I did not dislike this film by any means. So yeah. So we're close. We're close in our thoughts about this.
And appreciation. Yeah.
So we will be back talking about Strange New Worlds, which opens very soon. So come on back for all of that. And of course, later in the month we get Marvel's Fantastic Four. We get to see the comparison of our two different universes. So that'll be a fun little thing too.
Yes, indeed.
So thank you as always, sir. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.